Hello, hello, it is just James. It is Friday, so it's time for some feelings. But before we get into that, get a load of the sky behind me with the sun coming through the clouds, and got a little bit of rain here on the horizon, and then off here to the east, a little bit of thunder and lightning, which I hope we can get at least a little bit of sound, because it's just wonderful to hear, and probably not so good to see when you're up close. But any chance you can get out after a fresh rain, especially in springtime, heading into summer, is just absolutely phenomenal. So today I just want to keep the message pretty quick, pretty simple, because the message at the end is more important. I want to talk about perspective. And so if this glass had water to the brim, would you say the glass is full? And most of you would say yes, and I would wholeheartedly agree. And if I were to take that water and I were to dump it out, is the glass now empty? I think a lot of people would say, yeah, James, there's no water in it. It's not full. But I would disagree. It's just full of something different. It's now full of air. And I think that's kind of like, we're like the glass, where society has said, hey, you should be full of a certain thing. And I don't think that's the case. I think we should be full of whatever we choose to be. And we should have the perspective that even though society says that our glass should be full of water, or full of some liquid, or be filled to the top with something, just because we choose to make it different and fill it with something else doesn't mean that we aren't serving the purpose of the glass. And so choose what you want to fill your glass with. Have that different perspective, and realize that your perspective is the right perspective. It's not what society tells us. And it's not what society tells us to do or be. It's not it. Fill your cup with whatever the heck you want to fill your cup with, and enjoy it, because that's so important. The other perspective, this hit me, I'd say, a few weeks ago. And I was sitting here, and I watched the sunrise. And I made a deliberate effort to watch the sunrise and the sunset one day. And as I was watching the sunset, I realized, wait, the sun doesn't rise and the sun doesn't set. We're on a rock, hurtling through space. And I know people have thought about this before, but it finally hit me, and I wanted to hit you too. That you're sitting watching the sunrise, and as the sun rises, you're rotating through space. And by the time you get to sunset, you're 180 degrees opposite or upside down of where you were in the morning. And I don't know why that's absolutely fascinating to me, but we always say, hey, the sun will come up tomorrow. I enjoy watching the sunrise and sunset. And if that's your perspective, that's your perspective. But that morning and that evening, for some reason, I chose to see it differently. And now I see it both ways. Some days the sun is rising, some days the sun is setting, and some days I'm on this rock hurtling through space, and I'm upside down. And I can't change that. And it's kind of like life, right? Sometimes you're upright, sometimes you're upside down. But at the end of the day, you're still here. And so it's a pretty neat perspective. And so the last thing I'd say, and this message is the most important for today. Monday is Memorial Day. And it's not about mattress sales. It's not about car sales. It's not about the hot dogs and hamburgers and the start of summer. It's about remembering those servicemen and women that made the sacrifice for us, that we are able to have those things and spend those times with our family. And I want you to take a second, 3 or 4 minutes on Monday, and really every day, and say thank you to those service members that made that final sacrifice, weren't ever able to hang up that uniform so that we could be here and that I could be here making these videos for you. And also thank their fellow service members and their family members for the sacrifice they made, because they had a bond with those service members that we'll never understand. And so I guess the irony is how beautiful the sky is today. Just take a second, look up, and say thank you, because they'll hear you, and they'll know you're thankful. And I think that's so important for us to do. And so that's the most important message for today. That's Feelings Friday. Be thankful for what we have. Be thankful for those that gave us the ability to have what we have. And just give them a few minutes of your thoughts this weekend. And so my hope for you today, tomorrow, the next day, and the rest of your life is that you choose how to fill your cup. You choose what you want in your cup. You choose how you see life rotating and how you see life for you. Whether it's one perspective over the next. Don't let anybody tell you what your perspective should be or where you should be in life, because it's all about you. And lastly, my hope is that you realize that there's people out there that sacrifice immeasurable things for us. And we should all be very appreciative this Memorial Day weekend. And so with that being said, I hope you have a wonderful weekend with the ones you love, because we're able, because of others. And as always, be well.